Hello, this is a video on which I will just talk without any kind of predetermined topic or any predetermined objective other than what presents itself in this moment. And I just really like to talk like this. It is just something that has changed my life, and I'm to this very day surprised that it has brought me so much, and that it keeps changing so much, changing for the better, changing for in ways that I could have never imagined. In the sense that I just sometimes am really surprised that I can go on about certain things the way I do, and that it still results in something so beneficial, so revealing, so also that I really feel that it is true. And because I wouldn't be as happy as I am if it wasn't for the fact that what I say means so much to me. And even though other people may, for the most part, not be interested, that's not my problem. It means so much to me, and I feel so fortunate that I have discovered this. And I would dare say that anyone who would explore what I have found will feel equally fortunate if they just do what they need to do to have this, to have embodied language. Yeah. And I don't feel like explaining very much at this moment. I just feel like letting myself know that I feel good with myself. I just want to also let you know that a couple of days ago, I was hearing the sad news that my mother has passed away in the Netherlands. And I was feeling sad about that, of course. But that sadness has lifted. And it just really was also quite amazing how, after that previous recording that I made about this sadness, it was gone. It was just really, surprising to me, because for 2 days at least I was feeling extremely sad. And I hope my family members, if they hear me, that they would still be willing to try it with me. Because they are, I have disconnected from my family members, as I explained on my previous video, because I wanted to go on with this, and in spite of the fact that they did not want this, or they never let me know that this is something that they care about. Certainly not care about enough to let me know that I wanted to have contact with them. To the contrary, I just felt like my involvement with my family had a profoundly negative effect on me, which I, at some point, was just really, if I would not have stopped it, it would have just really seriously impaired me. And I just didn't want to let that happen. So, but besides my family, I'm just still also surprised about the fact that I am so happy while the world is in shambles. Because I am aware of what's happening. I'm aware of all the war, all the brutality that's going on, all the tragedy that's going on, all the violence and all the chaos and all the destruction and all the inhumanity that's going on everywhere. And here I am, having embodied language and being so incredibly happy. And not anyone is interested. So I'm also equally surprised. I mean, I'm surprised my family hasn't really sort of said like, okay, Maximus, let's just give this a try. Yeah, we may not have gotten it in the past, but maybe we get it now. No, there's no such thing. And even while my mother had died, none of my family members apparently felt any need to talk with me or so. Okay, well, that's how it is. That's how it is with stupid disembodied language, which as I've just made another video on my other YouTube channel, where I just speak about the fact that disembodied language is just fancy language. You know, it's not real. This way of talking is real, and so yeah, and so this goes to my family, but yeah, my fellow man is my family too. Where are you? Where are you that in spite of all the terrible consequences that you see everywhere in the world, which is a result of the way in which people interact with each other, it's a result of the disembodied language that I'm talking about. That's what causes this horrible reality that we see everywhere. And that's not my reality. My reality is very different. And everybody is involved with that horrible reality to the extent that they do not know the difference between their own disembodied language and their own embodied language. And I know my embodied language. This is my embodied language. So, but I'm surprised that nobody wants this, you know, and I just keep on saying that because it is really surprising me. I mean, look, you hear me, you can see me, you can feel me, you can sense that this is positive, you can sense that this is needed, you can sense that this is better than any of these high-paid speakers who supposedly have something important to say, and they don't say anything like this. It's all just hype. You're being sold hook, line, and sinker on all kind of nonsense. You know, yesterday I was listening to a radio program as I was on my way to somewhere. And I was listening to this radio program and there was this guy who was talking about, I don't know, people who have certain parts, and certain parts of people, they are like this and other parts are like that. And I just don't listen to this idiot who's talking about the fact that we have certain parts. This is nonsense. There's no such thing as there's not a part of me wants this and a part of me wants that. All of that is just fancy stuff, okay? I mean, my right hand is just as much part of me as my left hand, and there, you know, unless you chop it off, there's no, you know, I am a whole person. Everybody is a whole person, and if your language doesn't reflect that, then your language is wrong. Your language is incorrect, and your language is just fancy stuff about who you are supposed to be, or who you try to be, or who you hope to be, but you cannot be because it is not real. Yeah. Anyway, I'm surprised I can be, in spite of the you know, the loss of my mother, and also, again, the memory of the loss of my family, because that's also, of course, what happens when your mother dies at 90 years old. You kind of also remember, like, yeah, my family, I've become estranged from them, and they've never acknowledged the importance who I am, you know, in that family. But okay, well, that's never going to happen, I guess. Well, so much for that. It never happened in the school where I went, you know, I studied, and they never acknowledged this either. It never happened in where I taught. It never happened there either. It never happened where I worked. But it happens here in my own house, in my own space. It happens here where I am. And I am very happy where I am. Yeah. In spite of everything that has happened. Yeah. Yeah. I just wish other people would just get this, and I wish we would just get on with things and just start, speaking the truth, speaking the truth about our language, because I speak the truth about language. I speak the truth about language, that disembodied language is mankind's problem. It is the issue of our time. And unless we turn to our language in the way that I do, in the way that I do, by listening to myself while I speak, unless we begin to listen to ourselves while we speak, we are not really talking as individuals. We're just talking about groups that we believe we belong to, but that belief is not true. We don't belong to this group. We just believe it. Yeah? And we have believed it, and we continue to believe it because of our disembodied language. Once we speak as someone who listens to him or herself, we don't belong to any group. We don't represent anybody. We just speak because we can speak this way, because we want to speak this way. Because speaking this way is actually, our honor, our blessing. I feel blessed that I can speak this way. And anyone who acquires embodied language will feel equally blessed, I promise. And this is really a promise I make, I mean, and I don't say this lightly, in the sense that, come to me and then your promise will be fulfilled. No, you will have to do what you need to do to listen to yourself and to counteract your own conditioning in order to be able to continue to do that, because that's all involved. Unless we go against our conditioning history. And you know what? In terms of science being the scientific discipline, it tells us to be objective. It tells us to be realistic. It has nothing to do with our beliefs. It has nothing to do with our preconceived ideas, our biases. This also, embodied language, has nothing to do with our biases. If you cannot hear yourself in such a way that you like what you hear, you're not listening to yourself. That's just an objective fact. Only when you enjoy what you are hearing, only when you feel peaceful and completely yourself in what you're saying, you're not having embodied language. You're just engaging in predetermined, mechanical, unintelligent, blunt, insensitive, disembodied language, which results in the reality that we see everywhere. The horrible, ugly reality, in which everybody is fighting with everybody else. I'm not fighting with anybody. I'm not part of that. As I noticed that this little spot in my chin, it is sort of like an emotional spot. When I feel emotional, but I also feel, I don't know. You suddenly see this little spot in my chin. It just moves up and down. I have two spots. I have this spot here on my chin, and I also have a spot in the back of my head. That when I touch that spot, or especially when somebody else touches that spot, and my wife sometimes does that, then I feel all of a sudden, I don't know, it's almost like a button. No, that spot in the back of my head even more than this one. This one I do not touch, but I do touch this one sometimes. It just makes me feel so. It just does something to me where I come into a sense of innocence, or a sense of openness, that has to do with this spot. And you know what? I know also from what I've studied, it has to do with the vagal nerve. It is the vagal nerve. You go and read about it. VAGAL, vagal nerve. Read the work of Stephan Porges, Porges, Stephan Porges, the vagal nerve. Yeah, you know, when the vagal nerve is working properly, then you experience a safe environment as safe. But when the vagal nerve is not working properly, you may actually experience an unsafe environment as safe, and a safe environment as unsafe. And so I kind of feel that by having embodied language, we are reconditioning our nervous system. And there is something about the vagal nerve. You know, the vagal nerve, which also mediates mobilization responses in the nervous system, which deals with the activation of what they call the mobilization response. The mobilization response, which means that we are either fleeing or fighting, yeah. And then there's also the immobilization response, which deals with freezing. And so all of these responses that I just mentioned are adaptive, physiological, innate behaviors which are triggered due to aversive or threatening stimuli. And so in the case that there is no such stimuli, in the case that there is an aversive free environment, or non-aversive environment, there is no need to immobilize. There's also no need to mobilize. And therefore, according to Stephan Porges, the social engagement can begin to occur properly, which means we are not distracted from our language. Yeah. And so when the sound of our well-being tells us that we can say what we want to say and speak as long as we want in this way and to our heart's content, we are having a very different conversation than the conversation we're all used to, which is called disembodied language, in which while we are speaking in disembodied language, we're fighting, we're fleeing, we are dissociating, we are disconnecting. While we're speaking in disembodied language, how can that be any good? It isn't good. It is terrible. It's not correct. We just talk in a way which is not talking. We're just trying to dominate each other, exploit each other, push each other out of the way. We're trying to oppress each other, trying to ignore each other, trying to hurt each other. It's not communication. Only in embodied language, in which we're not fighting, we're not fleeing, we're not disconnecting. No, we're completely here. We're completely present. That's when we're really talking. We all need to know this. You know, all the therapists, I studied therapy, I studied psychology. All the therapists, they acknowledge the importance of the work of Stephan Porges. Yet, no matter how much effort I have put into it in reaching other people and trying to let them know about the embodied language, none of them seems to even consider getting in touch with me and exploring what it is to have embodied language, because that's, of course, the crux of any kind of so-called therapy. I don't even care about therapy. This is not therapy. This is a whole new way of talking, which will make therapy redundant, because there's no need for therapy. We need to have embodied language, embodied language in which we can just be ourselves, in which we're not threatened, in which there is no fear. There's a very important aspect about embodied language, that we can talk without fear. We can really be here without fear. Actually, I'm just making this tape because I feel proud of myself that I have made such another good recording where I was reading my work. So you can also go to that other one and hear that one too, because it came out really good. I feel really good about, it is the fantasy of inner language. I need to debunk that. I just feel that's what I need to do. I don't care about any guru. I don't care about no, we need to get rid of this false notion that there's language inside of us. And that's what my talk on my other YouTube channel is about. Yeah. It's about the fantasy of disembodied language. Yeah. Anyway, here comes my cat. Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. Can you come and say hello? Come and say hello to me. I'll show you to people. Come a spaceship. Come. Oh. Yeah, he wants, I know what he wants. He wants Snoopies. He wants treats, he gets treats around this time. All right, I'll leave it with this. I'll give him his treats. I got my treats, and I hope you get what fulfills you as well.